was glad when they said, come let us go to the house of the Lord. I was glad when they say, come let us go to the church with no walls. You are my brother, you are my sister. From all over the world we are united in the house of God, in the church with no walls.
Welcome to this edition of the Church with No Walls podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Dearbone, and joining me today, I have the extreme pleasure of bringing on one of my friends, somebody who I've known since our days at Western Kentucky University and college, Jessica Baladad, who is the founder and I will say CEO of Feel for Your Life. And so, Jessica, welcome to the podcast. It's great to have you on.
I am so excited about this conversation today, Ryan. Thank you for having me. It is a pleasure.
And so, Jessica, like I've said, I've known you for a long time. We won't go to how many years I've known you, but I've known you for a good long time. And so, what the work you're doing is it's amazing. It's beneficial. It's saving lives. And we've talked about it in different vernaculars. We've done TV talking about it. We've talked about this in a lot of ways. But we talk on this podcast. We're talking about different ministries and how ministries affect outside just the church walls. And so we've talked about it. I know your story as a breast cancer survivor. So, Jessica, just tell our audience a little bit about your story, where it started, and then we'll work our way to where you're at now.
We have talked a lot about my story in different capacities, but what I don't think I've really gone into is how God told me he was going to use me in my breast cancer journey. We've not really kind of gone into that. So I'm so excited to expand upon that and what it's really meant for me and the trajectory of my life at this point. So going back to being a freshman at Western Kentucky, I found a lump in my breast on accident, and it led to me having a lumpectomy. I had it removed, and I was told it was a benign tumor. And that led me to performing self exams and creating a self exam habit into adulthood. Fast forward 15 years later, I'm 33 years old, best shape of my life, running marathons, lifting weights, feeling really good. And I performed a self exam and found a lump in my breast, opposite breast this time. And I thought, well, I just went to the doctor. She didn't say anything about this. She checked me out. I'm probably fine. Breast cancer only runs on my dad's side of the family. I should be good. And I just kept going back to the doctor never said anything to me. As it turned out, I went several months just keeping an eye on it. And I started feeling really fatigued and tired. And I thought, well, this is what it's like to be old and in your 30s. I guess, taking naps in the middle of the day, feeling run down, this is normal. I'm probably fine. But one day after I woke up from a nap, I opened up Snapchat and I saw a video of a girl that I had met at my sister's wedding. And I'm looking at it and I thought, why is she shaving her head? Text my sister, hey, Sarah, why is so and so shaving her head? And my sister said, oh, she's getting ready to start chemotherapy for breast cancer. I'm like, oh my God, this girl's like a year older than me. I need to get myself back to the doctor. Went to the doctor, and it was a profound appointment. I didn't exactly find out there that I had cancer, but it was really the first indicator that I knew. I'm on the examination table, and the doctor's going over my chest, and she tells me to sit up. And she's like, all right, get dressed. I'm going to send the nurse in here, schedule you for a mammogram. Like, okay. Nurse comes in, does her thing. And I said, wait, I have questions for the doctor. And she's like, well, it's going to be a while. I said, well, I will wait. The nurse leaves. I wait for the doctor to come back in. She comes back in. I said, I have so many questions. Is this lump indicative of cancer? And she's like, I can't tell you that. I just know that there's a lump. And so I'm asking the question in different ways. I'm fishing for answers. and she won't tell me directly, but here's what she said. She grabbed my hand and she's like, honey, no matter what happens, God is going to use you through this. And I just started bawling my eyes out because no one's ever told me that before when I've had the sniffles. This
Yeah.
was not the sniffles, this was pretty serious.
Right.
And she looked at me and said, can I pray for you? And I thought, okay, that's never happened before. And I'm like, yes, of course.
Some
And so
victory.
with tears, like, yeah, tears running down my face, and I'm getting chills just like going back to that day in my mind right now. I'm crying, she's crying. She knows. She knew in that moment that it was cancer. She just, you really can't confirm cancer without a biopsy. So, she prays for me and says a very kind, encouraging word that, I just won't forget no matter what happens, God is going to use you through this. And I had no idea what that meant at the time. I had no clue what she meant by that or what it would mean. I remember leaving there thinking, I've probably got cancer, but I went to Dr. Google and tried to talk myself out of it, trying to convince myself it wasn't breast cancer. And I was just like, okay, she was probably just being nice, this whole God's going to use me. Yeah, this is the end of me as far as I'm concerned. And what I didn't know, it was actually the beginning. It was really the beginning of where I started to live my life and where God truly used me in my life. So it was a cancer diagnosis. I was diagnosed at stage 2B, invasive ductal carcinoma, the fancy word for breast cancer. I went through 16 rounds of chemotherapy, 24 rounds of radiation. I had a double mastectomy and a hysterectomy and a 10-hour flap reconstruction where they take fat tissues and blood vessels from my stomach and place them into my chest to recreate my body. And all of this said, I am the fourth generation on my dad's side of the family to have breast cancer. We have no known gene mutation that's been found in science yet at this point. And 14 women in my family have been diagnosed altogether. Some of them have had multiple breast cancer diagnoses. And I just remember thinking, you know, cancer ran in my family until it ran into me. So I am going to do everything I can to fight this and educate and equip other women and let God truly use me through this diagnosis.
And so
And th- go ahead.
I was gonna say, you mentioned that 14 women in your family have had breast cancer, 4 generations. I would, obviously never having had it, part of me might be angry and say, God, why do you let this keep happening to the women in my family? Why me? Why is this always happening? But it seems like you never had those thoughts, or if you did, you were able to come around to the other side and say, this is in some way a blessing that I'm living and that I'm able to beat it. So if you want to talk about that.
I remember being in the room where I had an ultrasound right after the doctor. I had my appointment with her and I had my mammogram and then I had a follow-up ultrasound in the same day at that same appointment. I remember laying in this dark room. The radiologist was in there with the technician. He was telling the technician to go over my breast again so he could get a look at it closer, live and in person. And I had my arm raised, and she goes up into my arm, and he stops her and says, get that lymph node, that big one. And I sat up and I said, lymph node. And he looks at me and he says, I've seen this before. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm pretty sure this is cancer. And when he announced those words, when I heard those words and received them for the first time, I felt this stoic peace, like exhale, like, okay, we have a name for this now. It's my turn to step up to the to bat for my family. I was losing an aunt to breast cancer. Like she was literally passing at that time. Um, and I'm like, it's my turn to fight. Let's go. I'm ready to go right now. So in that moment, I felt empowered by the diagnoses. It was my turn to fight, and I was going to be victorious in it. I just knew I was.
And so and knowing you, obviously I always knew you were a tough person. You were somebody who didn't just take life laying down. You went through chemo, you beat cancer. Why was it important for you to do more than just beat cancer for yourself, but to start empowering other people, other women, others who were going through the same thing that you were going through? Why was it important to start empowering and giving them places and spaces to make sure that they beat cancer too?
When I was going through chemotherapy and I came out to my friends and I was like, hey, if you see this bald girl at the grocery store, that's me. I have breast cancer. And everyone was like, what? How did you even know to get tested or screened or diagnosed? What? You're so young. And I'm like, well, I do my self-exams every month and found a lump. You're doing the same thing, right? And it was crickets. And that's when I knew I'm like, oh, this is a problem. I mean, women, we're talking about our menstrual cycles and our bodies, but we're not talking about how we take care of them. And I thought, oh, this is it. Here, oh, this is it. So I'm in the shower. The remainder of my hair is going down the drain. Like the life off my head is literally going down the drain. Such a metaphor for that moment. The shower was where I did my self-exams. It's where I felt myself. And the name Feel for Your Life just came to me. And I knew it was a God. It didn't just come to me. It was a God moment. God was like, hey, here you go. Take this, run with it. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. So, background in marketing and journalism and creativity, I rushed out of the shower like my life depended on it, went to my computer and saw all of the social handles, Feel for Your Life, were available. The URL, Feel for Your Life, was available. I'm like, this is such a great name. This is meant to happen. Oh my gosh, this is it. So I reserved everything and got to work on the branding and the logo and what I wanted it to look like and what I wanted to talk about, and started creating content around doing self-exams, advocating for your breast health, not making the mistakes that I did, the hookups that people experience in healthcare with their insurance, maybe with a doctor's office, all of these things that you have to overcome to get tested, to get screened, to get a diagnosis. I started sharing all of that. And I thought, I get it now, God. I get it. You're using me. I get it now. And I'm so grateful. I can't believe it. Like, I just can't believe it. Like, I still, every day, I wake up and I look at my downloads. Like, I'm over 75,000. By the time this airs, I will be over 75,000 people all over the world doing self-exams and being empowered in their breast health. And I'm like, wow, God, you're doing it for me. You're doing it, and you're using me? Me? Come on. Like, God knows my past. He knows, like, me. Really? I'm just, you know me.
No, I know.
Like, I'm like, that if there's any time I said, why me? It's then, like, really, why me? But now that's kind of become like, why not me? Keep using me, God. I know you have so much more for me to do. And I thank you for what you're doing. I thank you for what I've done. I thank you for using me as a steward for this. I thank you for my journey. I thank you for what's going to happen in the future, whether it's good or bad, because I know all things are going to be done for your good. And so I'm thanking you for that stuff, because that means I'm putting my faith in you, that you're going to take care of me and you're going to take care of this project, this ministry, this um, experience throughout the rest of my life. And I am going to let you guide me through where it's going to take me. That was a long answer to your question.
But that was a great answer. So, talk about where this has taken you because it started off as an app. Talk about all the things that Feel for Your Life has been and has become and what you're doing with it.
So it did actually start as a social media project. And then during the pandemic, I learned that women were missing their screenings and they were too afraid to go to the hospital and they were getting diagnosed with cancer at later stages. That's when I thought, okay, I got to do something about this. I was actually working with the NFL on their Crucial Catch campaign, and they were trying to get women to go get their mammograms and get screened. And I thought, well, screenings are great. That's awesome, but a self-exam saved my life. Let's tell more people about that. And I'm like, I've got to take this and make it bigger. So I created the app. I taught myself everything that I needed to know, and I created Feel for Your Life as an app. From there, I thought, when it launched, it took me about 10 months to create and launch to be in the Google Play Store and the App Store. And it took 10 months. And I remember looking at it in the App Store and the Google Play Store. I had an iPhone and an Android, and I'm looking at it, and I just wanted to enjoy it before anyone could crap all over it or say anything negative about it. And I just wanted to enjoy accomplishing that in and of itself. And then I made like this social media announcement and I did this Facebook Live and I invited people on and told people about it. And I thought my friends would like golf clap for me, like, yay, Jessica, the breast cancer patient made this little app. That's so cute. And I was thinking, like, nodding my head, like, yeah, look at how. And God's like, hold up. Like, you just, Jessica, you just wait. And I didn't know it at the time. So from there, it got into the hands of the local Nashville media, and then different Instagram pages got a hold of it, and it spread like a wildfire. Then Good Morning America got a hold of it, and then other national and international outlets got a hold of it. And it was like, what is happening? And God's over here, like, told you. And I'm just like, really? So it's just the growth of it is just exploding. I'm hearing from people across the country, thanks to you, I went back to the doctor. Thanks to you, I'm getting my mammogram. Thanks to you, I'm doing my self exams. Thanks to you, this is my favorite story. There's a girl who had breast cancer. And after she had surgery, no one told her how to do a self exam even afterward until she downloaded my app. She downloaded my app and she did a self exam and she found another early stage reoccurrence. Now, this isn't just like this cool little thing that exists on people's phones. This is actually saving lives. And I'm so grateful for that. I'm grateful to God for that. Um, from there, that's led me into, like I was saying earlier, I saw all of these issues in the American healthcare system. Women under 40 struggling to get screened because federal guidelines recommend ages 40 and above. But we know that according to different research, about 12,000 women under the age of 40 will be diagnosed with breast cancer every year. Yet screenings are only available, easily available. Insurance will cover screenings starting at age 40 and above. At the time we're recording this, I cannot walk into a mammogram facility without a referral for a mammogram from my physician. I'm 39 years old, but next week at 40, I can walk in. There are clinics in the Nashville area that do walk-in appointments. I'm 40. I'd like a mammogram. Do you have something available? Yes, ma'am. Sign in over here. But at 39, it's like, do you have a referral from your doctor? Do you have pre-authorization from your insurance? Do you have this? I mean, it's just, even as someone who's had cancer, I cannot get a mammogram right now this week without a referral from a doctor. So I'm recognizing these things. I'm seeing the games that insurance companies are playing the way hospital administrators are running things from their perspective and how they're undercutting patients, how they're part of these cost saving programs that benefit them, but they're not passing those savings on to patients. So I got involved with an organization called Patients Rising. They are a patient-centered organization that focuses on bringing more transparency, accountability, and affordability to our healthcare system. And when I saw the work they were doing, I knew I wanted to be part of the solution. So now you'll see me in Washington, D.C., talking with legislators and lawmakers about making changes to healthcare. On the state level in Tennessee, I'm getting involved at in the same capacity for measures that can be passed here. Even in Kentucky, I have still so like all of the family that I named earlier in Kentucky. That's where my breast cancer gene comes from, my Kentucky family. I'm doing things that get involved in the state of Kentucky as well. So it's just, wow, God is still using me. I'm 6 years out of breast cancer, and I'm just like, keep showing me what I can do because you're not going to put limits on my capacity. Even when I think I can't do something, I know that through God, actually, I can.
It's so cool to see your transition and your transformation and how you're affecting lives. And when you said, when we first started talking about it, the fact that there was not already something out there, an app or social media. We hear a lot about breast cancer during certain months of the year and certain, a lot of times when we know somebody who is affected by it, but the fact that these things weren't already out there, the things that women and even men who have breast cancer, it wasn't out there until you created something. So knowing that in a lot of ways you are a pioneer of this work, how does that make you feel knowing that you have created something that has, not even will, that has saved lives and has moved the needle in this fight against breast cancer?
So when I check my analytics in the Feel for Your Life app every day and I see like 200, 300, 400, 500 downloads, they're more than just downloads. These are people who have a vested interest in their breast health. Either they've gone through breast cancer, someone they know or love has gone through breast cancer, or they just have felt compelled by my story. And when I created the app, I wanted to create something that's never been done before. So I wanted to make sure that it could show you how to perform a self-exam. I use instructions from the National Breast Cancer Foundation, and I have a great relationship with that organization. I wanted it to be something where you could track and monitor your progress from month to month because let's say everything's fine month one, two, three, month four, you find something, you can go back and look at your notes and be like, I don't remember that. And you can mark it, call your doctor, and show that to your medical provider that you have a history of doing this so they can assess you appropriately. And then you can also set monthly reminders so that you never forget. And that is what it started with when it launched during the pandemic. It was in 2021. And I was just like, oh my God, like this is crazy. I never ever saw myself here. I never even imagined that this could happen. Again, I thought my friends were just a few of them would download it and golf clap for me and think it's just so cute that I did this thing. And then last year, as AI has just emerged, I got into the AI game and thought, I need to bring this into the Feel for Your Life app. So I taught myself what I needed to know. And I created something that you can take your pathology report from a test, a screening exam, lab work, even your surgery pathology reports. You can copy those from your online portal, paste them into the Feel for Your Life app, into the AI portion. It's called Breast Friend AI, and it will take that information, translate it into terms that you understand, and automatically populate questions for you to ask your doctor so you're not left in the dark about your results and you're equipped to go to your next appointment knowing how the conversation with your medical provider is going to go and what you may need to do for yourself. So, and so this past year has seen um a whole other cycle as of virality as well. And it's just incredible, and I'm humbled. It is a privilege that so many people trust me with this delicate and vulnerable part of their health, and I couldn't be more grateful to God for how he's using me, and I'm just like, "Let's go. What else what else you got for me, man?" Because I know, I my opinion is that God will give you more that you can handle. He does that so that you can rely on him. So I'm just like, "What do you got for me, man? Because I'm along for the ride, and I know you're gonna take care of me through it."
And I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge you have an amazing husband who stood by you through all of this and has been there throughout the entire process. God gave you a good man to be there for you. So, talk about how your husband Neil has been able to help you in this journey and in this project, this process.
Yeah, that guy, he's been awesome. Um, there was a point where I mean, we were 3 years in our marriage whenever I was diagnosed with breast cancer, just under 3 years, and I remember I'm losing my hair, my body is becoming a shell of itself. I was still me, but I remember going to him and saying, "This is not what you married, not this early into our marriage anyway." Um, I told him he could cheat on me, and he looked at me, looks at my little carrying case, self-care kit by the couch, picks up one of my prescriptions and is like, "What are they giving you?" It was just like, "You're crazy." I'm not no. And I'm just like, "That's the that's the man I married." Um, Everyone thinks that's just such a it's a serious moment, but, it's funny at the same time. We laugh about it and everything, but he has been wonderful. I would say the men in my life, my dad and my husband, both. My dad having sisters with breast cancer and so many relatives with breast cancer, just being there with me at my appointments. Neil taking care of me every single day. There were times when, I'm like, "Go to work, please do your thing. Like, please, I will let you know if I need you throughout the day. Please go to work." But he would come home on his break periods and he would check on me and be like, "Do you need something to eat? Do you need something to drink?" After my double mastectomy, when I couldn't lift my arms, he would come home, it's like, "Do you need me to make you, something? I'm gonna make sure if you get up and make something, I'm gonna pull glasses and plates out of the cabinets at your level so you don't have to reach for them." So he always made sure that I could be independent even when he was not there, because he knew that I don't like to depend on him for everything, and, he lets me have autonomy and independence, even in my diagnosis, but I mean, he's been absolutely wonderful, and I think it's also been great to see his faith also grow by, me being kind of the example of what it's like to let God lead and, carry you through storms like this.
And so, for people that are afraid to take the test, to self-examine, to if they feel like there's something there, to go to the doctor or to ask those questions, what's your advice for them? What do you tell them to do or to make them understand that this is literally feeling for their life and this is could be the difference between life and death for them?
So I have this formula, like we can use, so there are where to start here? I'm going to go back to something else I learned during my breast cancer diagnosis about why women were not doing self exams and why they felt the way they did about their bodies. So they weren't doing self exams because one, they didn't feel comfortable with their bodies. Two, no one ever taught them how to do a self-exam. And three, they were either uninsured or underinsured and didn't know about their costs or their rights. And if we talk about the conversation around how women feel about their breasts in general, it's, we are told keep them covered up. They exist because they have function, and keep them covered up. And it creates a lot of shame. And I know I repeated two of those on purpose. It creates shame around their body. So they struggle with how to feel about their breasts and how to take care of their breasts. And then you have all of these obstacles they go through with getting care for their breasts, that it made sense to me why women weren't getting screened or doing self-exams. And with that, the fear part, the shame and the fear. I'll address the fear part of it. We think of fear as fight, flight, freeze, and that's totally accurate. But when we think of fear as a tool, it tells us make a plan, prepare your plan, and seek help. So let's say I'm afraid of going and getting a mammogram. I'm afraid of doing a self-exam because I might find something, or the screening, the mammogram might find something. All right, so you're afraid of doing a self-exam. Create a plan. Create your self-exam plan. How are you going to do it? Where are you going to do it? How are you going to use the Feel for Your Life app for it? Prepare your plan. All right, I'm going to do a self-exam on this day with this tool, and I'm going to track these things about it. This is putting the person in control of the situation. They may not have control of the outcome, but they have control of the situation. Then seek help. If you find something in your breast while you're doing a self-exam, who are you going to call? Hopefully your doctor. That should be the first person, one of the first people you call. Tell a friend, a loved one, like seek help. What people with the character traits and competencies do you need for yourself in that moment? So plan, prepare, seek help. So make your plan, prepare your plan, seek help around all of that. Now we talk about shame, why we feel ashamed. Shame is this, we feel this badness about, like, oh my God, there's something bad about me. I have breasts. They need to be covered. This must mean that there's a badness about me. But on the other side of that badness we feel, I think you see, like, you are deserving of grace, forgiveness, and love. And when you remember that in your shame, you feel bad, you deserve grace, forgiveness, and love. That your body, yourself, all the internal heart things about you, you deserve to take care of yourself, to do your self-exams, and to get screened. So when you take hold of that you are deserving, and then you get over the fear part of it, you feel equipped and ready to take care of yourself, like do your self-exams and get screened. If there's anything that I could say to add to that, find a great doctor who will advocate with you. Get into a self-exam routine. Talk to your doctor about your screening routine. Understand your genetic disposition and have a conversation about your breast density. That will guide you through better understanding your breast health and taking the precautions that you need to reduce your risk for cancer and disease.
And so men have breast cancer too. And I would imagine it's in some ways for a man, it's probably even more of a shame or a feeling of self doubt that a man could have what would be considered breast cancer. So for the men who are in the audience, what do they need to know about checking themselves? Because men don't think about checking themselves for breast cancer.
The last statistic that I read about breast cancer is that approximately 1 in 800 men will be diagnosed in their lifetime. And I'll say I inherited something from my dad's side of the family. He has passed something down to me, even though science doesn't have a name for it. And when we test for it, nothing has come up. Other people in my dad's family have been diagnosed with different cancers. His brother had a kidney cancer that was caught early. His two sisters had breast cancer. My dad has had a skin cancer, but we know with a history of cancer in general that science has told us that they're linked. So have the conversation with your doctor about your cancer history, even if it's not breast cancer. You may be susceptible to others. My dad's having conversations with his doctor. He's getting his screenings. He gets his blood work done. He's quarterly now. My dad's is almost 65 years old, so it's just time. Your doctor generally wants to help you take care of yourself. There's no shame, there's nothing to be afraid of. It's very normal to have these conversations. And that probably sounds funny coming from a woman saying, yes, it's natural to have these conversations. But what I would encourage men to do is get into a men's group, talk to someone like that you trust. It does, maybe it doesn't have to be a group, but find that one person in your life that you can rely on. Ask them, hey man, are you going to the doctor? What does that look like for you? What can I do for myself to make this easier for me? And then talk to your spouses as well. Women are generally the ones who are helping men, find the doctor, taking care of the insurance, and how all of that works. Tell your wife like, hey, I probably need to go to the doctor. I probably need to get a checkup, and then that will lead you to the conversations that you need to have to take those risk reducing measures.
And you were 18 when you found the first lump. What age do people need to start testing? When's the first time they need to start having those self exams?
So, according to the American College of Radiology, they announced in 2023 they would like women to at least start talking about screenings at the age of 25. If they need to start screenings that early, what their genetic disposition to breast cancer may be, or when they need to start getting screened. As far as self exams, I mean, I did mine at 18. I would say it's based on the recommendations of your medical provider, your doctor that you see. Mine was done in my late teens. I don't mean to scare anyone when I say this, but I do know women in their late teens and early 20s who have had breast cancer. It's extremely rare, but it's worth recognizing that it can happen and to acknowledge like, hey, if I create these habits in my early adulthood, then that's just going to reinforce the healthy habits I need to have as an older adult, where I may need screenings more often and more routinely.
And so, as we begin to wrap up, just Jessica, just talk a little bit about, obviously, you've been on a journey. You've been on a spiritual journey. You've been on a journey that has transformed your life and the life of others by the thousands. Where do you hope that you go from here? What do you hope God has in store for you and fulfill for your life and for those people that are currently being affected and that will be affected by the work that you've done?
I get asked this every now and then. Usually it's like, what do you want to do next? But I love the way that you phrase this because you said, what do you hope God does for you? And really what it comes down to is what it started with. I hope God continues to use me. I hope he continues to see the potential that I don't see in myself and lets doors open that I am guided by his faithfulness to walk through, that he protects me from people who may not have good intentions, and that the right people find the app at the right time when they need it, and that it continues to grow and thrive.
And so when people are looking for the app, people trying to find out more information about Feel for Your Life, give us all the information, how people can connect with the app, how people can connect with maybe you or any other information they need to know. How can people do it?
Sure. You can go to feelforyourlife.com and download the app there. There are links for the App Store and the Google Play Store. You can also search those areas. If you want me to speak or host a workshop, I do that also. You can find all the information on how to contact me there at, again, feelforyourlife.com.
Jessica, it has been an absolute pleasure. You know, you're close to my heart. You're a friend, and I'm in awe of you and the work you've done and the work you're doing. So you know, I'm thankful to have you on the podcast, and it's been a pleasure to talk with you and to talk kind of more of the spiritual side of it because there can't be any of this without God bringing you through so that you could be a blessing to others.
Thank you so much, Ryan. I loved that I got to share this part of it with you. This is the most open I've been able to be with this side of my breast cancer story. And it's just, thank you for giving me this opportunity. I really appreciate it.
You're very welcome. I'm your host, Ryan Dearbone. You've been listening to the Church with No Walls podcast. As we always say, take care and be blessed.
You are my sister. From all over the world, we are united in the house of God, in the church with no walls. La, la,